Hello everyone, welcome to this week's weekly watch list preview. We got a mixed bag of things here. Some stuff we're looking for short, some stuff we're looking for long, mostly short. As most of you know, the end of last week wasn't very pretty. I've been saying for a couple of weeks we're top heavy, be careful. It's not to say that we're going to continue dropping this week. They may decide to start buying the dip tomorrow morning at the open, and we may rip all week. So we just have to kind of play what we see happening. So be prepared either way. And if you do get in something that goes against you, stick to your stops. Don't be afraid to take a loss. One of my mentors way back had a saying that every big loss starts out as a small loss. So if you suffer a big loss, it's because you let it get to a big loss. And I still do it too. I think everybody still does it occasionally. You're confident something's going to happen and it doesn't, and you stick to your guns, and next thing you know, it's a big loss. I think we all fight that. But here's what I'm looking at. And a lot of these, I don't trade a lot. I don't trade Baba too much. I don't think I've ever traded Carvana. I haven't traded IBB for quite a while. I don't really trade Visa. I don't really trade the sectors, and I don't really trade Zoom. So it's kind of, but this isn't just for me. It's for everybody. So, but we'll get into some stuff here when we look at the XLU and XLP. And there's a reason I didn't put any information in the XLU. And XLP I wasn't going to, but the chart looked kind of good for a little drop. It's only a 50-cent drop, but I'll point that out when we get to it, or at the end of the video. I'll go over that. I'll skip these and go over that at the end of the video. So let's start with Alibaba. Actually, let's start with let's look at what happened this week. You look at the SPY, been up huge on the year, up big on the quarter. Month is starting to pull back a little bit. We've been riding this broadening formation for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months now. We've been riding this broadening formation up for 6 months. At some point, there's going to be some profit taking. So just keep that in mind. You look at the weekly, same thing. I mean, look how long we've been trying to, we dipped back just a little bit here. This was actually what helped create the bottom of the broadening formation here. But we had an inside candle and then popped up above it and just continued riding that upwards channel the whole way, that upwards trend line the whole way. You see the week, we went 2-2 down on the week. Last time we went 2-2 down on the week. Now obviously this was a 2-2 down at some point. Actually, it may have been a 3-2 or 2-2 up. It may have went up first and then pulled back. But the last 2-2 down that we had was right here. And you see what happened with that. We came all the way down here to new lows. Not new lows, but new recent lows. You see we have a gap fill here on the weekly. Don't know that we're going to get back. If we get down this far, then we're looking at correction territory. But, we're... The last time we had a similar 2-2 week that closed the week at the lows, this is still a 2-2 up. This is not a 2-2 down. Even though it's red, it still broke up above, didn't break below. So this is still a 2 up. The last 2 down that we had that closed near the lows was this one here. And you see we continued pulling back down. Prior to that, the last 2 down that we had that closed near lows was probably this one. This was a 2 down, but it didn't close near the lows. So you see when we have closed near the lows on a 2 down on a week, it's continued to pull back a little bit. We can't say for sure that that's what will happen. Look at the monthly. Look for something similar. We're still 2 up on the month, but the last time we had a red month was way back here, and we bounced right off of it, continued running up. So, I don't know if this will be anything long term, but we may see some more sell off here this week. Look at the Qs, huge on the year, huge on the quarter. We're 2 up on the month, but it's selling off. So, we had this one. Well, this wasn't even a 2 up. Try to go back and find a 2 up candle that sold off, and it was probably these threes like this one here. This one probably, it went 2 up, popped up a little bit, and then sold off. Not the same exact type candle, but you get the idea. On the week, we had a 3. Last time we had a 2 down on the weekly was here. The last time we had a 3 here, but it opened near the bottom and closed near the top. This is actually opening at the top and closing at the bottom. So the last time we had anything that closed below was this one. Find something that closed below the previous candle. It's been quite a while. This one here, I believe this was the last time we closed below the previous low. And this was still, I'm not going to call this a hammer candle, but you know what I mean. It towards the end of the week, it was bought up. So that's the last time. That was back in March. That's the last time we had a close lower than the previous candle's low. Make sure I got that right. Actually, this one here. This one closed below the previous candle here. So this was the last time. It was back in May. Last time we had a close below the previous candle's low. And you see what happened. Yeah, it was bought up towards the end of that week, but then look what happened the following week. So just keep all that in mind. BABA, let's take a look at the charts here. You see on the year, not very pretty on the year. Not very pretty on a quarter. Inside on the month. Inside on the week. It's been weak lately. It hasn't been strong. Really haven't had any of an uptrend, anything resembling an uptrend since back in February on BABA. So I'd look for this to pop below 165.58. We come down to our daily to look for some targets. And you can use weeklies for targets also. You can use this for target 1, this for target 2. I just like to be more conservative. If you're comfortable using the same time frame for your targets, that's fine. I'm just more conservative, and what I like to do is if we trigger here and I enter and we break, I don't want to say significantly, but if we break below 163.13, let's say we get down to 162ish or something, I'll move my stop to this target here. And that's one reason why I like to have the smaller targets, so I can move my stops along the way to lock in profits. Now obviously you're not going to lock in a profit if it gaps down overnight or gaps up overnight, but you know what I'm saying here. So look at the daily, and we have a gap fill here. So the target is going to be the gap entry. The trigger is going to be the gap entry. Target 1 is going to be the gap fill. So the trigger is at 165.58. Gap fills at 163.29. Target 2 is at 158.23. Target 3 is at 152.80. So that's for BABA. So let's take a look at Carvana is next. And there were other ones in here, CMG, ConocoPhillips, but I just didn't like the setups as much. And I think we have enough to trade here. Carvana, pretty good on a year. Selling off lately in the quarter. Still green, but it's been selling off. Month, we got a shooter last month. We're 2 down this month, but it is green. Weekly, and on the month, what I'm looking at here is we had a shooter, but we're kind of forming a little bit of a hammer candle here on the month. And then we had a doji. We had sort of a hammer candle here last week or the previous week. Then a doji on last week, inside candle doji. So I'm looking for a break above 330, 491. And we go down to the dailies for targets. Target 1 is 340, so that's a pretty significant move. Target 2 is 340, 169. Target 2 is 348.96, and there is a little bit of a gap here. The low here is 349.28. So there's a 30-cent gap here. But a gap's a gap. It doesn't matter if it's a penny or if it's $10. It's still a gap. Gap fills here. I think if we break this, we'll have no problem filling the gap. Target 4 is going to be 357.10. Target 5 is 358.20. Target 6, 363.09. Now, I'm in no way saying that if we trigger that we have a chance of hitting 363.09. There is a chance we hit it, but I'm not saying it's likely we hit 363.09. That's a $30 move. That's 10%. We may hit it. We may not. I don't know. But I put the targets there anyway, just for just in case. You never know. So, and like I said, I would move my stops up once we trigger. I'd probably have my stop depending on where this candle opens tomorrow. I don't know where it's going to open. I may set my stop below tomorrow's open, below tomorrow's low. I don't know. I'll have to see how it opens and how it looks in the morning. But once we trigger, once we close above the 21 EMA, I'd probably move my stop up to, at a minimum, this here, 330, the high of this candle, 330, 340. Once we get probably halfway to target 1, I'd move my stop to break even. And once we get to target 1, I would leave my stop at break even. We break target 1. Once we hit target 2, since it's not a huge, it's only $1.69. Once we hit target 2, then I would raise my stop to just below target 1. Once we break over, I'd say maybe 345, I'd move my stop up to target 2. And then once we break over 348.96, I'd probably move my stop up to about 347.50, because 350 is going to be a mental resistance. So 347.50-ish, that would give me a nice profit. We break above 350. Once we get to maybe 353 or something, I'd move my stop up to about, probably a little bit higher than target 3 actually, probably just under 350 because of that mental resistance. And that's how I would trade that. Facebook, on the year, huge on the year. Big on the quarter. Inside month so far, or not inside month, doji-ish on the month so far. We don't know how that's gonna play out. On the week, we were inside on the week. This one could go either direction, so I have it set up to trade it either way. If we break below 373.15, my first target is going to be 370.52. Second target is 364.08. Third target is 361.84. And you can continue down here. There's another target. There's another target. That would be my ultimate target. But if we get that low, it'd be great profit. I don't know that we'll get that low. And if we go to the upside, there's not much juice here. The trigger is 383.79. Target 1's 384.33. So only about a 60-cent move. But here's how I trade these. I got a problem now. I can't. Okay, it was stuck between screens. Further targets would be the top of the broadening formation, which you see right here. You can draw your own broadening formation. I draw my broadening formations on the weekly charts. Sometimes I'll go down to the daily if it's a really ugly. Example would be, if I drew a broadening formation from here, it's going to be pretty steep. And, if we're looking at a week out, you're looking at $10 or so to get to the top of the broadening formation on the current week. So I would go down to the daily and draw it. So top of the broadening formation, so this would be the current week. Top of the broadening formation would be roughly 380, 690-ish, 387, somewhere right in that range. I would look for that, or I would look for a close below the 9 EMA on a lower time frame. On the hourly, it's pretty low. We're down at 380. That's a pretty big, pretty generous stop. So you just got to play around and look for something that looks like a reasonable stop. What I would probably do is I'd look at maybe the 2 hour, maybe the 60-minute, and look for a reversal candle. Reversal candle is anything breaking below the low of the previous candle. So there would be a stop here to break below this, stop here, break below this, and that's what I'd look for an exit. So that's Facebook to the upside. IBB. I don't generally trade the sector per se, so I wouldn't generally trade IBB, but I would look for stuff in the biotech sector to trade. Maybe I don't know, Bayer, McKesson, something in that sector, in the biotech sector. But there's a little bit safer to trade the IBB because it won't move quite as much. It's been a really good year, really good quarter, inside on the month, and we're inside on the week, and it's looking a little bit weaker. We're kind of the lower third of the previous month's or the previous week's candle, so I'm looking for a break below 172.79, and we come down to the dailies, and the targets are going to be this low here of 172.35. Not much of a move, but it's somewhere to move your stops to. 171.33. Didn't put a target here only because it's not much difference from here. 170.44, 170.11. Not much movement here either, but the difference that I see here is we have a lot of candles with a low. Not a lot. We have a couple candles that their lows are right in this range. So this may be a little bit of extra support here. So I put a target here just so you can move your stops. Then we have a gap here. So the start of the gap is 168.79. The gap fills 167.80. So that's what I'm looking at for the IBB. Visa. And it's gonna be a long video. Sorry about that, but hopefully it makes money this week. On the year, looking really good, or looking like a spinning top on the year. On the quarter, it's two up, but it's not looking good. It's forming a shooter. On the month, not looking good on the month. On the week, inside on the week, so I'm looking for more downside. Break below 224.82 is the trigger. Come down to the daily. Target 1 is this low here of 223.35. Target 2 is 221.96. If we go out further, you can see we have this low way back here. Pivot low of 220.31. So that would be my third target on Visa. ZM. ZM. I know a lot of people have been trading this, but it's inside year. It's 2 up on the quarter, but it's ugly. It's failing. Um, that being said, we are stuck inside this range here for the last, I don't know, I don't want to say stuck inside this range because this is huge. This is 200, almost $300 range. But you still got to keep in mind there's going to be chop. Targets may not be further targets may not be hit, but shorter time frame targets are possible. So in a quarter, not looking good. On the month, it's been an ugly looking month last month, or it was an ugly looking month last month. Inside on this month, on the week, it is green, but it's inside last week. But I still don't really like it to the upside. I'm not saying it can't bounce. It could bounce above this, and actually it wouldn't. It may not be a bad entry to enter above 306.19, but this has just been so weak lately that I'd rather trade it to the downside. If it pops to the upside, so be it. I'll probably sit out. But the trigger is going to be 290.53. Target 1 is going to be 280.30. If we come down to the daily, 280.30 for target 1. If we zoom out further, and pun intended there, if we zoom out further, yeah, we have this target here, but I'm kind of ignoring that one, looking at this pivot low of 273.20. So that's what I'm looking at for there. Let's look at the XLP. The XLP looks great on the year, looks good on the quarter. Inside month, but pulling back to the downside. And on the weekly, we got some chop here, quite a bit of chop. The last 3 weeks, even if you go back 4 weeks, last 4 weeks we're stuck between 73.25 and 71.29, only $2 in the last 4 weeks. And if you look at the monthly, you can see that not really moving much. But what I do like is if we break below this lower range here, then we could see this pretty easily. It's not a big move, but what I'm looking for is a break below this one here. If you come down, look at the daily. This is the initial trigger. This is target 1. That's a pivot low. If we lose this target, we break below this target. Yeah, our first target's going to be here, but I think if we lose this target, we're coming down to here. So that's what I'm looking at for XLP. I don't really, let me find my, here it is. If you look at XLP, where's it at? There we go. These are the major tickers within the XLP. There's Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, Pepsi, Walmart, Costco. There's others, but that's the major ones. I'd more be looking to trade one of these. Look for a good setup on one of these if we do trigger these. So that's how I would trade this. I probably wouldn't trade the XLP itself. I'd probably look for a good setup here. Let's look at KO. I have monthly setup set up for Coca-Cola. So if the XLP breaks below that, that may trigger the inside month down on Coca-Cola. I'd be looking to trade that one. Procter & Gamble. Maybe might be looking for something here, break below this one. This one doesn't look quite as great of a setup. Actually, let me look at the weekly. Go back to Coca-Cola. Yeah, see, this would be a break below here would trigger target 1 here. Procter & Gamble. We're kind of riding at 9 EMA. I don't know. It doesn't look like as nice of a setup. Pepsi, you were kind of stuck in a range here. I don't know if that one looks quite as good unless we break below these lows here. If we break below this low from last week, then yeah, I'd be interested in this one. Walmart, you know, inside quarter up from the current quarter, which took out target 2, almost target 3, but most recently we're selling off. So yeah, I don't know. I guess we could probably look for an entry here below this, but that's not one of my favorite setups. Walmart or Costco, not showing much weakness there, so I don't know that I'd keep an eye on it. You know, if we do break below here, we may pull back. You know, $10 pullback here, $7 pullback. But that's how I would trade these. I don't necessarily trade the XLP, and let's look at the XLU. That was another one. XLU, Duke. Let's look at XLU on here. See the chart, we're kind of stuck in this chop here. Not much range. I put a target level, or I put a line here, price level here for a break below this. I'm not looking to trade the XLU, probably in no way, shape, or form. I don't care for trading this sector to begin with or anything in the sector. But you look at, you know, if we do break below this, start looking at Duke. You know, Duke was weak last week. You know, break below last week's low, which kind of coincides with this low here. Break below last week's low, we could see, you know, sub 100s, even down to 97.70. Southern, you know, same thing here. If we break below this current week, you could be looking at target down here, 65.37. I don't know why I have this price level here. This must be old. Dominion, you know, these charts all kind of look the same. Break below here, looking for targets down in here. But I just wanted to show, you know, that the XLU and XLP both look weak. So look for stuff within those sectors and stuff, you know, setups in there. So that's all for the video for this week. Thanks for watching. Hope everybody has a good week. Let me know if you, let me know if you do, if you have a good week, made money, whatever. And talk to you guys soon. And thanks for watching. And see you later. Bye.